All warfare is based on deception. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. To win without fighting is the greatest victory. Appear at points which the enemy must hasten to defend. March swiftly to places where you are not expected. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without disaster. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. The wise warrior avoids the battle. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. The wise win before they fight. Victory is reserved for those who are willing to pay its price. The whole secret lies in confusing the enemy, so that he cannot fathom our real intent. Victory comes from finding opportunities in problems. A leader leads by example, not by force. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Speed is the essence of war. The skillful fighter puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible. When the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. One mark of a great soldier is that he fights on his own terms. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. Ponder and deliberate before you make a move. Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. Great results can be achieved with small forces. The wise adapt themselves to circumstances. He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not will be victorious. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. When the enemy is strong, avoid them. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirm. It is more important, Lemmersten, to outthink your enemy than to outfight them. Let your enemies bring you the material for your success. A wise ruler does not reward a soldier for his bravery, but teaches him to be even braver. The best defense is a good offense. If you are not in the habit of self-reflection, you will be blind to your weaknesses. A general is a protector of his people. Disorder came from order, fear came from courage, weakness came from strength. The soldier who is afraid of battle is like a bow that is never drawn. In war, there is no constant condition. Know how to keep your enemies dependent on you. He who knows others and knows himself will be victorious. The skillful fighter puts himself into a position that makes defeat impossible. All things are difficult before they are easy. A good commander is benevolent and unconcerned with fame. Victory belongs to the most persevering. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. He who is not a good servant will not be a good master. A clever fighter imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him. We cannot enter into alliances until we are acquainted with the designs of our neighbors. You cannot enter the same river twice. The wise warrior does not rely on the strength of his men, but on the strength of his strategy. The peak of perfection is not to do great things, but to do small things perfectly. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. The best victory is when the opponent surrenders of its own accord before there are any actual hostilities. If you are strong, appear weak. When surrounded by enemies, do not be afraid. Strike them down. Even the finest sword plunged into salt water will eventually rust. The warrior's way is to be adaptable and flexible. If your opponent is of a lower caliber, you should not be in a hurry to engage him. An army marches on its stomach. He who cherishes his life can fight. When strong, avoid them. If of high morale, depress them. Appear at points which the enemy must hasten to defend. March swiftly to places where you are not expected. Do not engage in a battle with an enemy who can retreat to a higher ground. In war, the general receives his commands from the sovereign. He who wishes to fight must first count the cost. Do not repeat the tactics which have gained you one victory, but let your methods be regulated by the infinite variety of circumstances. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. He who is destined to defeat first fights, and afterward looks for victory. He who is destined to victory first wins and then seeks battle. When one treats people with benevolence, justice, and righteousness, and places confidence in them, the army will be united in mind, and all will be happy to serve their leaders. He who relies solely on warlike measures shall be exterminated. He who relies solely on peaceful measures shall perish. A general who advances without coveting fame and retreats without fearing disgrace, whose only thought is to protect his country and do good service for his sovereign, is the jewel of the kingdom. Confront them with annihilation, and they will then survive. Plunge them into a deadly situation, and they will then live. Those skilled in war bring the enemy to the field of battle and are not brought there by him. When the enemy is united, divide them. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire, and be still as the mountain.